Hello and welcome back to Boring Dead Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Mask of the Rose, the Comrade Hates Love playthrough. Let's actually recall the past now that Archie's been taken away and arrested, in case we've got any different options here. I won't read this text, it's the same each time, at least in this month. What's this one? After the fall, failing to heal. There were days when I couldn't leave my room, and I couldn't think of anything that had happened, or anything that was going to happen. At most I could bring myself to remember the previous day, pulling it into my mind from a single detail. Hand over hand, hour over hour, like hauling up a giant's comforter when it has slipped off the bed. And then, when it's briefly mastered, never managing to tuck it in the corners so it slips off again. Unmarked, forgettable time which ceased to be a part of my life as soon as I'd lived it. I just go about now and my days are better, but what was wrong has not come right. A wound that does not close as lips do not close when there's something still to say. Mysterious. Okay, so if we look in the story builder, we can see that we still have this ready to hand in. We haven't spoken to her about that, but we don't have the investigation prompt yet. If we were to go to the bazaar, it'd be worth. I think we might go and see Archie first of all, though. What can we do here? Take the census with the rubbery creatures. We're not going to do any more census pages. We have means of making money now. We will talk to people about the arrest, but let's get the investigation going first. So let's go to the ungulate. Let's just talk to Archie about his arrest. Now, luckily, we couldn't do this before, but we're going to go. We're going to go without an escort because I can mix with the criminal fraternity a little better now. So we're going to put on my prisoner jacket. We're going to take that off. Let's have nothing there. Face, we don't actually have anything. In terms of hat, I guess we probably go for our commoner's hat, the servant's cap. That'll do. Dressed like this, I can sneak over to the Hulk without Harjit and visit Archie on my own. Let's do that. None of the locals will bother me, and I probably won't be kept aboard. Probably. Let's give it a go. Och, you're taking a risk coming here without Harjit. If you don't watch out, they'll pack you up in the ungulate beside me. And then where will we be? Note that I have paid Horatia all my debts. I have to admit I was a bit behindhand with the rent. But I've caught up now. Every penny I owed Horatia. I am glad of it. At night on the ungulate, sometimes you can hear things singing in the water. I'd heard them before, but never as clear as this. Ask whether there were words. I think I asked that before. Are there words? Lyrics? Aye. Most nights I cannot remember them by morning. Just sometimes a half sight of a kingdom underwater. Deep green water and a throne without a king. Well, at least it makes a change. It makes a change from the rest of the ship. Even if it is your mind playing tricks. Or something worse. Or that. I don't even know what it would be. It isn't the rats in the hull. There's a great number of those, but they did not go much for song. Last night I did hear, to remember. Last night they were singing of something to do with Parliament. All the ministers drowned. The building of Parliament did end in the Thames. I haven't been there to see the site, we actually have, but there have been sketches in the newspapers. I hate to think what became of Grizz's uncle. What did you do the day of the murder? Do you have an alibi for the time when David died? Och, nay. I was in the Landhouse house, that's true. Not that it weren't fair crowded, come to that. Rachel was always there, as if she did not trust me to dose her brother, which I doubt she's changed her mind on a like. Then there was the housekeeper. Rachel's gentleman caller came at the morning, that caused her to do. And what was there in the morning but a postman collecting their letters for delivery to the surface? Which Grizz always said she couldn't arrange for me for love nor money, for all her acquaintance with Mr. Page's. But the Landos had got mail and was sending their reply again by return of post, just like London never fell at all. While you were treating David Landau, did the two of you argue? Nay, not a bit of that. We talked on his illness, and when the news came of mail from the surface, we talked on that. Nay ill feeling in it. What was said about the surface? What did he say about the surface then? He meant to set up passage back above as soon as could be. He said he knew folk in Livorno, and they would be up the coast from Kumai and could commission a ship. I cannot say I understood all they said on the matter of ventures and investors and the laying of the Atlantic telegram cable. He took that for a tale of what to avoid, I reckon. But he did say that when the service was running, if I nae found another road home, he would give me a ticket aboard. What was said about the illness? Was he upset with you about the illness, or you with him? I did what I could, and he knew I did. What was out of my power he knew was beyond me. He did say it was the Neath to blame. The food in the air weren't good for him, he said. Natural causes? Do we know it was murder? David Landau was already sickly. If he hadn't been ill, he wouldn't have needed your services in the first place. His illness was not the sort to kill a man. It was not more than a complaint of the digestion. It should not have ended his life. Certainly not all of a sudden. What medicines have you been trying to make? What is it you've been trying to make? There's an old medicine in the pharmaceutical books. Venetian treacle was its common name. Theriac Mithridatium to those who had some teaching. It's said to cure every sort of ailment at once, and war of poisons too, while you're at it. You needed a lot of strange ingredients, but it seemed to me the Neath has new complaints that we haven't seen on the surface. It's all we could do with a bit of a cure-all, as long as we haven't worked out the particular science. I've been giving it to David Landau, but I ran out the last day. Had to give him a more usual stomach settler instead. Nothing I'd not give to anyone and everyone. A thought occurs to Archie. If Horatia's in poor spirits, you should ask her down the vicar. He cheers her up. I think she's a soft spot for him. Though I'd be grateful if you did not say that I said so. Archie considers whether there is anything to add. There's all sorts you know about me, but I keep thinking of things you'd not told me. Oh? What sort of family did you grow up with then? Mother like mine, always asking what you meant to do next. Say I don't care to remember them. Aye, there's some that have had that luck. I'm sorry, there's no accounting for the distribution of parents in life. Right, that's it for Archie. We didn't get the investigation thing, but I think we've got a few things we can add to the story crafter as and when we can do that. We should probably go and see Rachel. No. We can find out what she's up to in the basement. Let's go do that. I don't think we did that last time. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that. Horatia is in the basement gathering items off the shelves. She already has a basket full of papers and maps, and even 1 or 2 books. I recognise one of them as Archie's. The Archie's books. Help me burn them before they give Harjit the wrong idea. Start shoveling books into the furnace. Fahrenheit 451. Destroy. I step right up to the pile and take the first volumes from it. I'm grateful to you, friend. The books are fragile and old, and they burn quickly. The pages curl and blacken, exposing one grotesque anatomical diagram after another. When we come to the last book, it burns in green and purple flames. Sparks fly upward. The smoke smells heavy and sweet. Very heavy. Now, my friend, don't fall asleep. Come upstairs. Wouldn't wonder if Archie spilled something on that book when he was making up his drugs. You'll come back to yourself. It isn't long until dinner is served. No, we're fine. There are a few minutes of preparation. Feels wrong not having Archie at his seat. We'll have him home again soon. It's not as simple a matter as I'd hoped, but we'll get to it. I give an edited description of my visit to Archie today, mainly to say that he's there and hasn't yet been eaten by rats or thrown overboard by fellow prisoners. I'm glad you were able to get to him. I've been meaning to go, but, well, it wasn't possible today. Perhaps on another occasion. The vicar's got a new spring in his step. His sermon today was calling for practical action. Said something about faith alone not being enough. I'm no learned doctor of the church, but I feel we had a reformation over this very issue. Explore how this affects her feelings for him. Were you more drawn to him or less? No, I ought to say more, but I'm not sure it makes a difference. There was a fire in his belly I'd not seen before. His preaching was very red-faced. He's not ill, is he? Offer to look in on him. I could look in at St. Albans. Oh, that would be a kindness. I hope he isn't ill. I'm not going to St. Dunstan's for Sunday service. The vicar there has notions. Oh. Silence falls. Gonna clean our dishes to help her out. Good of you, my friend. We're going to sleep. Still didn't get an investigation prompt. I think we still got 1 day, is it, in confessions? 2 days. Okay, I can't remember where the investigation thing comes from. But another morning, another newspaper. This morning's lies open on the table. Ferret's menace eradication seeks reliable employees unafraid of rats. If I'm not too occupied otherwise, yeah, we know that one. I might go and see Ferret, because there was a prompt last time round to go and ask him about arsenic, and I didn't take it at the time, and it never returned. So assuming that's available, I might immediately go and do that. We can't go there, unfortunately. I think we should go and see Rachel. And then maybe we'll go to St. Albans. We probably should change. Let's look a little more presentable for Rachel. Tell you what, she's in mourning. Why don't we try this coat? And we'll put our friendly hat on. The coat says, I offer pastoral comfort and am willing to face dark truths. That'll do. Offer my condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. I know so many other people have lost someone this year, but mine was murdered. Mine was unnecessary. David's death wasn't an accident of misfortune or fate. At that moment, someone can be heard at the door. There were so many new graves when we buried him. Mr. Milton's here to see you, miss. Here? Now? Do you want me to say that you aren't at home? No, you can't tell him that. He'll know I'm here, and... but maybe you'd better say, Don't strain yourself finding an excuse. I promise to depart again before I've entirely worn out my welcome. Milton, no, please, you're very welcome. He nods to me. Poor Rachel, I came because I heard your unhappy news. I ought to be wearing black, but there's been so little time. Point out that purple is a mourning colour. Surely not for deep mourning, after weeks or months perhaps. I did have a black gown. My mother died last year, but we handed it down to a cousin on the Landau side. Her husband died in the fall, and she needed something suitable. She used to sit in the parlour after supper in the second-hand gown and glossy wig, and drink a great deal of David's wine. Ah, the widow Nathan. I take it she had much to say about the trials of having no one to support her. She never did recognise that character as herself. Defend... No, that's not the one I want. I want raise eyebrows at their joking. I raise my eyebrows as a silent reminder that we're mourning the dead. Phoebe said that you've buried the body. At Ball's Pond. Very soon after the death? It's our tradition.
How do you avoid burying someone alive?
See where this goes. I mean, now what we know now about what happens to David, that is... I mean, we know it's not Milton. He absolutely crucified us at that trial, but... interesting that he asks that, no?
The burial, Rachel?
David was dead. Unambiguously, grotesquely dead.
Have you been back to the grave? Is it undisturbed?
Is this how you comfort mourners in your society?
We don't mourn the dead.
Your inexperience shows.
It isn't necessary here.
You've been here long enough, is what you've been. Phoebe? Phoebe, I called you. Miss, did you be wanting tea for the guest? I did not. And don't play the fool. I know you've had your ear to the door. See Mr. Milton out.
I could have found my own way.
At least one of us here is going to observe the civilities, and it seems like I'm the only one up to it.
Miss Landau, I'm very sorry, but...
Please, go. Get a dig in at Milton. What manners on that creature. Friendship has a claim on me. It's strange, I've never known him to lose his composure to that degree. Usually when he wants to know something, he sneaks up to the question. You never see him coming. That leaves time for another errand. Okay. What do we feel like doing? We can't visit Milton now, interestingly. I think we maybe go and talk to Mr. Pages about Archie's arrest. Sure, we could put the ministry badge on. That'll do. When I arrive, Mr. Pages raises its head and looks at me without saying anything.
Undercurrent Grizz has been agitated. She requested that we intervene in a matter of the Crown Court. This is not our custom. The justice of London concerns many things that do not interest us. In fact, Undercurrent Grizz herself instructed that each ministry be circumscripted. We observe an inconsistency in this. It causes us to question her judgment.
Portray her as humane. Let's defend Grizz a little bit. She may not be thinking clearly this once. It's harder to stick to those rules when a friend's life is involved.
It is a weakness. We will have to account for it in our dealings with her. Do you have anything more?
Okay, well I guess we hand over our finished sentence page as we're here. Got used to the transaction now.
An exemplar ensemble. Her mother is resilient of heart. She herself also.
Sure, we liked Ivy well enough. I liked her.
Your application of companionate time outside of the ministry is your own. We do not forbid revisiting the subjects of the census.
That's enough for my official duties. Okay, ask whether the Masters always knew the way to the surface. Have the Masters always known the way above? Were you only waiting until a suitable time to tell us that the surface is still there?
There is always a way for us. For you, sometimes it hides itself. We did not hide the route.
Alright, remember we're obsequious to authority in this playthrough, so we'll accept the answer. Right then, I see.
It is unlikely that you understand. This is preferable, most especially for you.
I say farewell to Mr. Pages. Mr. Pages does not reply at all. It is at times difficult to tell whether Mr. Pages is intentionally ill-mannered, or simply has no interest in discovering what the proper etiquette might be. The hallways outside are hushed, except that if I listen closely, there's a sound like something walking with an uneven gait. In shoes, or perhaps its toenails. Sorry, its shoes, or perhaps its toenails, click on a polished floor. Horatio will be setting out the food now. I'll go straight to the table. Horatia pauses. Something has been on her mind, I think.
Who is your family? What is your home? When you say we, who is included?
Name our own little group of boarders. Chapman's is home to me. I cannot imagine another.
Then I hope it will remain so. I'm not going anywhere. Some of the lodgers may come and go if I can't prevent it, but they'll seldom leave against their will, I hope. It's good to know your own. In God's sight, there is no east or west, but we can't help nor rely on those who are too far from us.
I don't really get what she's saying, to be quite honest. Okay, fine. Contemplate Horatia. Regret befriending her. My opinion is unchanged. Don't really get what she's driving at. Ooh, tell Horatia what I found in the Amber Warrens. I went to the caves below the sinkhole looking for the men with tentacles.
Oh, thank you. I'd have gone myself if I could. Full of undulating wigglies ready to undermine London's cellars. Horrible tentacles oozing forth to pull us from our beds.
Oh, it wasn't anything connected to our basement.
Oh?
Tell her the truth. I met a rubbery man. I explain about Bakjin and Batachikan.
I suppose it stands to reason we're not the first down here. Can't be just devils and masters and what have you, but ordinary sorts too. Well, as ordinary as a man that looks like something found dredged up on a hauler ship can be. Seems a sorry fate to lose your home twice over. Oh, I hope something can be done for them.
Alright, straight to sleep. Last day of the month. We still haven't got the investigation prompt. It probably comes. It's probably part of the plot. I'm sure. I think I've done the most logical things to try and get it. Grizz bought one, and the headlines read: "Severe destruction renders southwest of London impassable. Reports of foreign population." Okay. We did say we'd check it on the vicar. We'll see if we've got a prompt to do that. So we could do that. We could do that. Maybe we will. Let's go and see Theophilus. Alright, let's change. Let's get rid of the official badge. We'll put the little thing back on. Alright, let's go dressed like this. I am, to all appearances, dressed for a louche club. Okay, maybe not. Alright, that'll do. Your timing could not be better. A young canon in my care has placed his soul in mortal jeopardy. I mentioned the Devil's Townhouse to him. Next I knew, Reginald was gone. I draw my own conclusions. Ask him how the canon's soul can be in peril. I mean quite literally. He has gone to speak to the devils. They traffic in Christian souls. Reginald's will undoubtedly be difficult to pass up. He is zealous, even for a priest. I worry about that young man. I would hasten to his rescue, but He tugs on his dog collar as though itching. I fear my motivations for an unexpected call would be seen through. Agree and talk up my skills in the process. That area of work happens to be exactly where my genius resides. Oh, you certainly invested your talents, eh? Rescue the Canon of Southwark. Let's do it. Oh, wow. I kind of wish... Oh, I'd had the chance to dress. I'd have put the little devil's fork on, which I still haven't had the opportunity to use in the devil's townhouse. Look at these things up here. Are those the souls? I'm greeted in the parlour. Voices can be heard from another room, deeper in the consulate. Another guest? In one morning? I thought you Londoners had rules about this sort of behaviour. A breach of etiquette, I think you'd call it.
If you will but admit your desire, my soul. My dear boy, I could not lie to a vicar. Canon, I serve at the Cathedral of Southwark. Another mortal in the devil's den.
He nods to me.
What has brought you here?
See that I enjoy irritating Virginia. Yes. Virginia resents my presence, so I visit as often as I can.
Now, the harrowing of hell. I came here to test myself against the devils by placing my soul in peril. Though they are proving strangely reluctant to engage, no doubt my zeal gives them pause. Your soul lacks distinctive features.
And therefore interest.
If you wish to give it away, we would accept the donation. But to go to the effort of temptation...
Suggest the devil's humour him. Come now, have you ever met a man like the Canon?
I find it hard to believe Lucifer's own would let me slip their net. Lucifer, ha! I know the name. As well you might, fiend. A far more satisfying character than our own former princes.
Surely it's worth a little experiment.
Very well. Let me look at you. Don't flinch. It is only my breath on your neck.
Must you be so physical, Milton?
I must ascertain the nature of our subject, Virginia. Fetch the spiritual vinification apparatus.
Do not intervene in the joke. I say nothing.
Aye, you must be so close for this, fiend. Is that sweat upon your neck? Ah, as I suspected, cologne. Scented water. Blessed, I assume. An idea of a friend's. I assume he bathed in the stuff. You entered our home willingly. I assume to give us your soul to roast and baste and other such things.
Pickle, poach, pepper.
Wonderful, Virginia. That's the spirit, or soul. Speaking of, do you offer us yours? I do not. I renounce you, Satan, and all your works. Oh well, that's that then. Apologies, Virginia, I did try. Then my work here is done. Michael could not have done it better.
Milton, what is a Michael?
I believe it is what they call an archangel, which they, amusingly, imagine to be our opposite number. Though in this instance I think it might merely be a man. One whose name you're unfit to speak. You cannot be in league with them.
Shrug. We might be. You're clearly in need of spiritual counsel to have found yourself here. I shall be at St. Albans Protomartyr if you decide to mend your heart.
Thank you for clearing up that, situation. Most vexing when we are minding our own business.
Milton considers whether there is anything to add.
No doubt we'll meet again, hates love.
Judging by the clock, I can afford another errand today. Ooh, interesting. What should we do? What should we do? We could visit Virginia and see if she needs anything. I'd love to go back to ferrets. No, I'm not going to take the census. We're not going to do that anymore. Yeah. Alright. Let's go back here. We'll see Virginia. Maybe she's got something for us to do. I'm going to stick my little tuning fork thing on. There we go. Yeah, alright. Yeah, let's do it. According to the clerk, you had an appointment with me. No appointment was on the schedule this morning. Tell her to be quiet. Turn this aside with humour. Ah, you'll have to forgive me. I was told never to sign my name in Hell's appointment books. Oh, fear not, I had no intention of wasting refreshments on the mortal. Our vintagers are rarely appreciated as they deserve. I meant to ask you whether there's anything I can help you with. No one speaks for a moment. I suppose you must have met with Mr. Pages and visited the ministry. While you were there, did you happen to see any of its maps and charts? There is a territorial matter in some dispute. Say no. I did not. How about this then? Did you chance to see a piece of stone with writing on it? Writing that perhaps made your eyes water and your hair prickle, as though your scalp were about to catch fire? I did see that. I think. I don't remember, but my character does. On Mr. Page's desk. Magnificent! How large was it, would you say? Did it appear too hot to touch? Did the air ripple? Would you say that it was well guarded? Are there any mirrors in the room where it is kept? Did any of the masters supervise it, or only Mr. Page's? I answer a few of her questions, but there are so many, and some are so strange, that it is many minutes before we're done with the topic. I do not think I have told her everything she wants to know, but it's more than she expected from me. Look for a peculiar paperweight in Mr. Page's office. Okay. Hell rewards service rendered. Wait here. She goes to the cupboard and produces an ingot of brass. When I touch it, I draw back in surprise. It's not so warm that it burns, but it's not comfortable to hold for long in bare fingers. There is a law above that all things must grow cold in time. This is Hell's reply. Is it getting hotter? No, but it will never go cold either. Theophilus would get use out of this, but perhaps only if he had no idea where it came from. So might Horatia, for that matter. For a moment, no one speaks. We can ask her about her work, I suppose, as we're here. Ask whether it's true that the people here collect souls. I mean, it's got to be what's in the jars up here, right? I've heard a rumour that you ask people for their souls. We? All of you, that you go round asking for souls. I rarely ask anyone for anything. Nonetheless, it is true that we possess a great many souls. Her glance goes to the gleaming bottles lining the walls. We have reached the end of my time. If at some future time you wish to return, you will not find the doors barred. My opinion remains to be seen. We're not going to befriend the devils. Time to go home. We'll go straight to the table. Alright, well that's kind of done. Let's clear the dishes as per the usual. Good of you, friend. It is the end of Confessions. This morning I wake to furious pounding on the front door. Rachel is already talking to Grizz and Horatia by the time I get downstairs. I'm Rachel Landau. I believe you know Archibald Reed, the doctor? Well enough to know he didn't kill anyone. I'm not certain of that, and my brother was certainly dead. But you were quick to make accusations. I've come to ask your help, and maybe to free your friend as well. So I'd best not let myself be drawn. You have a way of freeing Archie? I think David might not be... That is, I think he may not be dead anymore. I keep having dreams that David is awake in his coffin. I can barely close my eyes without thinking of it. If I don't dig him up and make sure, I'll never have any peace. So you've come to us to help dig up your brother's coffin? Yes. I have a shovel in the basement. Mostly for coal, but it will do. Ask why she didn't bring Phoebe. Phoebe's at home in bed. She's not up to much lately. She sobs and asks what will become of us, and counts her rosary beads. Anyone would think it was her brother that died. You are Archie's friends, and you want his name cleared? So you have reason to find David alive, even if I mean nothing to you. She glances at me as though to say she knows there is more between us than that, even if she doesn't choose to say so in front of anyone else. Because we're a jerk, we're going to help, but let Rachel know she'll owe me one. I'll find a way for you to pay me back later. Oh, thanks, my friend. Here? There's only a fresh mound of earth. You're sure this is the one? It's not marked. I left these stones. Alright, why don't we dig this time? I think Grizz did it last time. Rachel takes her own turn with the shovel, but it needs a hand from each of us. It's grim, slow work. When we've struck the bottom at last, Grizz climbs into the grave. Well? It's been a few days, eh? Grizz calls up from below. David is still deceased. You're sure? We'll check the condition myself. Mind if I come down? Oh, we didn't see the screen before because I said something about the mirror, didn't I? The mirror trick. This corpse is definitely a corpse. I'm not sure what I expected to feel in its presence. Not this. Let's look closer. The lips are green tinged, the muscles of the face contorted, the fingers twisted. That green tinge could be important. There is no sense of an intelligence departed or a spirit gone. It does not give the offensive sense that someone who should be here is not. It does not feel like someone's arrived too late. Keep looking. The more I look, the more I'm sure. This thing has never been alive at all. I do not smell decay, but there is a pale, cloying scent, like lilies grown in muck. The sense grows on me that if I touch him again, his eyes will open, and that it will not be David Landau looking at me. Brush black its false hair from its false forehead. Why didn't I do this before? Just where the hairline meets the brow is a line of 4 tiny sigils. I can barely make them out, even with a light. From above, Rachel calls to me in concern. I touch a sigil with the tip of my finger and flinch back. The touch of it stings. I've smeared it a little, I think. Does the corpse face look different now than it did? I don't know who's talking. My friend! If you're hoping to find David alive down there, he isn't. Ask if the sigils are part of a burial preparation. Would you have written on your brother's forehead? Perhaps a custom of your own? I did not, and I don't think the women of the Chevra Kadisha would have. Was it Hebrew? I don't think so. Maybe there was a smudge of grave dirt that looked like writing. My friend Milton said once that the laws of life and death down here are not as they were above. And so I thought, I don't know. Whatever he implied, your brother isn't returning. It's most likely a mistake. I believe Mr. Mirrors is to blame for sending dreams. Let's insist on the strangeness of the thing buried down there. We might not have found a live David in the grave, but I'm still not at all sure we found his corpse. If it isn't him, then we probably don't want to meddle with whatever it is. One thing I've learned at the ministry: there are things down here that resemble people, but are not people. Not even counting the devils. We can go. I'm sorry. It was foolish of me to think there could be anything in it. Grizz and Hate's love should see you back home safe. Oh, you don't need to do that. But I'd be grateful for the company. You've had a shock. Phoebe? Phoebe, we have guests. We aren't guests. Don't worry about refreshments. I had you digging up graves. The least I can do is offer a pot of tea. Phoebe! Probably asleep, the baggage. Hello. I let myself in. You were dead! I was. And now you aren't. Not for the past couple of hours. It took a little time to return. And then you weren't here. React with curiosity. How is this possible? I was truly dead, and I have returned. The paths of life and death are not as they are on the surface. That is the only explanation I can find. The question of the grave remains alarming. There was a corpse there, and you don't much resemble it. I didn't wake in my grave. I came to myself, standing in the midst of London. At one moment I was crossing the last river, and then the boatman put me back ashore. Worry over what the sigil corpse meant. The corpse with the sigils on it. It may not be David's body, but surely it's connected with this. I am not returning to dig it up a second time. My hands are raw. And I have more mysteries than I can manage already. As far as I am concerned, it was a malevolent practical joke. And I don't need to know by whom. If it was man-made, it was still a very strange creation. There may be others we can ask, people who know more about this kind of matter. I don't believe I've had the pleasure of your acquaintance, Miss, Smith. I'm a clerk at the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I was helping Miss Landau. We were trying to dig up your corpse. I dreamed you were alive, that you were trapped in there. I knew it might only be grief, but I dreamed it again and again, so vividly. We should make a list of what to do. I will alert the Ministry that death appears not to be going as usual, and someone needs to inform Hargett that Mr. Landau is not dead, and therefore Archie is not a murderer. Someone did murder me. I was poisoned. It was excruciating. He really was completely dead. But he isn't dead now, so therefore that is not a murder. Whoever did it might try again, and I can't be sure it wouldn't work. Believe me, I still very much want to know who the culprit was. I'd rather hoped you might know who did it. Listen with ghoulish curiosity. Go on. I'm agog to hear what happened. David manages not to laugh. I hardly ate anything that day, only the medicine that Archie brought me. I wasn't feeling well from the beginning, so I stayed in my room to read. There was quite a parade of visitors in the parlour, I collect. A parade? I had Ivy Fitz-Claret here working on a fitting. She's hardly a visitor, and we were not in the parlour for the most part, though she may have passed through. Who was here that day? So Miss Fitz-Claret was here on the last day, and Archie visited. We know that, as you blamed him for the poisoning. Rachel and Phoebe were at home, and I believe I heard Milton's sticky tones through 3 sets of doors. Milton did pay a morning call. It was not long, and I was preoccupied with Ivy. I held a brief conversation with him and then excused myself. He spoke with Phoebe for a few minutes and then departed again, I believe. Question how Archie behaved. And when Archie was with you, he didn't do anything strange? Nothing to make you think he had a sinister intention? No, his bedside manner was much the usual. He had moments of melancholy. He often spoke of being homesick. But otherwise, he only showed a concern to see that I was better. Although the flavour of the medicine that day was a trifle different. More like other ordinary medicines I'd had before. He said it was a change in the ingredients available, and that he'd had to compound his own down here. Well, that's a little troubling now I've thought of it.
More than a little.
I'm sure it's only a coincidence, and the meaning was just what Archie said it was. What did David consume? And you ate nothing, David? No, only Archie's medicine. No drinks? No tea with a bit of flavour and a gritty texture at the bottom of the cup? I would certainly have noticed. I thought as much. One always has the sense of poisoning victims being especially unobservant. Okay, I guess we're done with this conversation. We should go home and leave you to your conversation. I imagine there's a great deal to say at such a reunion. You will let Constable Singh know that the murder is no longer a murder. I wouldn't want the matter to be dropped. It would be the most grotesque miscarriage of justice to hang a man for murder when he did no such thing and his victim is still walking around London. Oh, very well. I will alert Constable Singh to the fact that David lives. You do press your points. When you came to us for help, you said it would help us free Archie. That's true, I did. Then pray honour that commitment. That was a rash promise. It seemed reasonable, and I needed help. Can you see any of our cousins agreeing to come down and take a turn with the shovel? No, especially not the Landau cousins. Such a betrayal of tradition. But thank you, and give my thanks to Miss Smith as well. You were truly a great assistance in a terrible time. If it was Archie who gave the fatal dose, then something will have to be done. But of course we'll say it wasn't murder. You may say it wasn't. Okay. So we've finished the season of confessions. Rachel Landhouse has sent a note of thanks. Wait a few days before paying a visit. There's no rule for how soon to visit the deceased after they return to life. Oh, well, he'll need to recover. Never mind. At least Archie will be home soon. Archie does not return. His place remains empty. Horatia cooks him a portion, but he never comes to eat it. After 4 days, Grizz tries to argue her out of doing it anymore, but she insists she can afford it thanks to me. What isn't eaten goes to hungry neighbours in the morning. And she, Horatia, doesn't welcome interference in how she runs the house. Since February, every season is freshly alien. The season of confessions goes out, taking with it many helpful self-deceits. Yule brings the first full horror of the Neath. People stop pretending when an animal speaks that it was imagination. Dogs, it's true, still say very little. This is what passes for tact among dogs. Cats have no such compunctions. On the rooftops they trade in human secrets, and their side glances dare us to object. Hypocritical gossips that we are. "14 days remain in the season of Yule. It is as I explained to Horatia and to Lady Griselda. By the terms of the law, a murder was still committed." Ask Harjit about Archie's condition. Is he well? Prison is not kind. So far as I can tell, Archie is happier on the ungulate than he was before. He is a hero to the other prisoners. The trial will still be held just before Christmas. There is nothing I can do. There is nothing the Landaus can do either. Miss Landau did send a letter to the court to explain her brother's change of circumstance. Recommend freeing Archie, whatever the inquest said. This is nonsensical. Archie would not have killed anyone, and the supposed victim is walking around perfectly well. Couldn't you go to his prison and say he's been ordered released? Or break him out? I could. That does not mean that I should. You see the action of these laws, and you say, an injustice is being done, and we should immediately undo it.
And it might be that you are right. I have no love for your queen or her servants, though it would not surprise me if the masters were her children.
What?
Sometimes I dream that the queen in the palace is the mother of monsters, and none more than these creatures in their cloaks.
So why obey any of them in that case?
For me, it is not obedience to something above us. We are all equal in the sight of our God. There is no rank that gives people a right over others. But there is a compact between people. We owe things to one another. When we each pursue our own justice separately, there is no peace anywhere.
We'll sympathise with him having no choice, I suppose. I know it doesn't look good for Archie.
There's no one else who could easily have done the poisoning, and no question that it was poison that killed David. You didn't see his room. The corpse, the aftermath of death was everywhere. But it still seems strange to me that Archie would have done it. Archie will be tried. If we can account for his innocence, he may be freed. If we find evidence that someone else was involved, they may be added to the trial. If you find anything, if you have a good explanation for how it wasn't Archie,
say I'll bring evidence to him. I want to get this investigation started. You'll be the first to know.
thank you.
I'll need to craft my theories the way Archie showed me. If I can't build a finished plan, I'll at least be able to come up with some hypotheses. Crafting theories about an unknown motive or method will give me the right questions and let me get answers out of people. The more I learn, the more I'll be able to refine what I ask, or the accusations I'm ready to make.
I am always glad to visit Archie on the Emulus Ungulate with you.
Harjit considers whether there's anything to add.
If you find yourself short of entertainment in Mrs. Chapman's lodgings, you're always welcome to come out and speak with me. I wouldn't mind having someone to talk to on my rounds, now and then.
Decline neutrally. We were flirty with Harjit the first playthrough, so we're going to be hot. We're going to be cold towards him this time. That won't be possible.
I won't press you on it, of course. I am accustomed to solitude.
Time for another errand. But it's saved, so I think we will leave it there for now. So thanks very much for watching this episode of Mask of the Rose. We're going to be up and running with the investigation from the next episode, which I'm looking forward to because we didn't get anywhere close to the solution last time with the tight time limit that we had, but we've got double the time now, so that's great. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, then please hit the thumbs up button on the video. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And again, I think I asked this in the last video, but if you have any prime suspects for the murder, let me know. I'll do my best to interrogate those persons or people and find out a bit more. So I'll just say thanks very much again for watching, and I hope to see you next time for more Mask of the Rose. Bye for now.